how to handle installment billings, in particular contracts. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to hop on the other screen here and pull up the actual question so I can put some context in it. And so basically, new to SA, trying to set up, get it all set up. SA is Service Autopilot, if you're unaware of what that is. They run a lawn and pool service. They send bills out the first of the month or bill 1 month in advance. So that's one thing we want to keep in mind here is when we go to set this up. Should I have set up contracts for their total monthly amount rather than breaking down the price on a weekly basis? I'm trying to get this all squared away before April 1 so I can invoice through Service Autopilot instead of QuickBooks. Please let me know your thoughts and directions. P.S. We don't have signed contracts. Not sure if that matters. Thanks. So, Lindsay, great question here. So if you're joining me live or in the recorded version, I would love to have any comments or questions so we can answer them. But first thing I got to do is shrink down the screen here and actually bring up Service Autopilot so you can actually see what I'm doing here. So first thing is we're going to go into Service Autopilot. There's some foundational things we want to keep in mind from Lindsay's question. First one is that she has a monthly installment contract that includes probably one or several services underneath the monthly price. Now, once she has that, she said she doesn't have signed contracts and she may want to bill a month in advance. So all these things are very doable underneath the system. We just need to break them down in a systematic way. So when a lot of people fly up to New York for our 2-day deep dive where we sit knee-to-knee and build out and set up Service Autopilot for them in 2 days, a lot of times folks come into the deep dive thinking that they have all the data points. So one thing that Scott Howard and I, the head trainer at SA, Scott Howard, he does Scott Squared on the SA's page. When Scott and I are doing these regional training events, a lot of times we'll talk about good data in, good data out, and the ability to have database hygiene. So I'm going to kind of break this down on a high level, but actually go in and set this up for you, for Lindsay and anybody else watching as well. So the idea here is we're going to go in and I'm going to go in and put our test client and pull that up. So what we're looking at here is we want to go down and scroll down to the contract. Now, before we have the contract or set this up, we need some data here that is going to be very important. We need to know what services are in the contract, the prices for each service that would add up to the total installment contract amount, and the budgeted time, and hopefully the cost before profit. So what we're going to do is go in and set up this contract here, and I'm going to name the contract just test contract. Actually, you know what? We're going to go with Lindsay's example, pool and lawn contract. Now, you may do these separately. We're going to do a start date. So if I was to guess from Lindsay's email, we're going to go in and say it is an April 1st start date. And let's just say based on the season that she's potentially in, not too sure, but let's call it October 31st. So that's the start and end of the service range. Now, the next thing we do is want to put a line item here. And this is the line item that's going to show up on the contract right here. So what we're going to do is go in and paste this in for just speed. But I'm going to say lawn and pool contract monthly installment. So now when we hit the plus sign, we can go in and have that, and that'll automatically default on the installment billing. Now you can have multiple and then sort up and down how you want them to be in there. Next thing is you need a default service. So in this test account, I highly doubt I have anything from pool service, but let's take a look. We're going to call it commercial maintenance. So this could include maybe the commercial maintenance of the lawn and the pool at a commercial facility. But the idea is that's the default service it's associated with. Now, the next thing we want to do is go in and set our installment billing. So April, let's just say it's a $1,000 contract every month. So we can go in and actually autofill it here for speed if you want. Autofill, and just go in and delete the months that are not applicable. So now we've set up our monthly installment of $1,000 a month, and that's going to include our pool and landscape maintenance. So what we're going to do then is go in and set the bill month. So Lindsay, in your particular thing, if you want to go the bill 1 month in advance, I'd say bill the first of the month. We want to bill 1 month in advance. So technically, you're probably 1 month behind right now. You'd want to have had triggered this in March, but you could potentially set this up to go before the end of the month. So based on the timing, but that's how we'd set up 1 month in advance here. So April's invoice would be created in March on the specified date here, and that spells you in that little question. So how are they going to pay? Let's just say it is a commercial client. They're going to pay in a check. And we can auto-generate, and it's active. It includes sub-properties. So under the lead or client, when you have master and sub-properties, this is how you would tie in those additional sub-properties into this. So the final step here is we want to go under actions and add a contract item. So I'm going to go in and we had pool tile work. Obviously not exactly pool maintenance, but we use it for the example. And we're going to go in and add another contract item for landscape maintenance. Now there's some options here. So pool work, we're going to call it pool tile work just for example's sake. But let's say we're only covering 15 visits or X amount of hours for the pool service. So if I wanted to go in, I could say it includes 15 pool cleanings, and we would want to alert if it's greater than or equal to 15 a person in the business. So now we know the accounting rule, hey, we need to be aware that we're over 15 visits. Or if it's an hourly job, you can go in and put the number of hours here and alert somebody that the hours are about to exceed that number. And do we bill over that? Yes, if the quantity is over or if the hours are over. So we can go in and set the additional billing up and above the installment contract. Landscape maintenance, we'll put that in there. So the idea is we want both services or all the services included in the $1,000 a month installment. I want to say what's up to Scott Furman. Can I watch this later? Busy working in New York State. We're deemed essentials. Yes, Scott, absolutely. This will be here for you. Congrats. I want to say congratulations to everybody in the lawn care cleaning industry that has been deemed essential. If not, NALP is fighting for a lot of the landscaping companies. And I know ISSA is also fighting for the cleaning industry, depending on where you're at. So be safe out there. And you can definitely watch this later. So Scott, congrats, brother. So once we've got this contract in here, we want to go in and add the job. So this is the part, Lindsay, where most people drop the ball, in my opinion. But you're going to be following this video, so you'll be good. We want to add that reoccurring job. And if it's a one-time job, we can include a one-time job. But the idea is we want to go in and select the contract and the schedule. So I'm going to go into custom schedule. And let's say we're doing the pool cleaning every 1 week on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. You can select that. But what if we had a service that was a little funkier? It didn't fall into the master package options here of weekly or biweekly. You can actually go in through custom schedule and say every 3 weeks or every 2 days or every so many months. So that's going to give you that granularity there. And once you figure out what you want, I'm going to say it's every week on a Thursday, getting ready for the weekend. And I'm going to end after 15 visits. And I can show it on the calendar and see how far does that take us out. Well, 15 visits probably is not going to cover that summer season, but it gives you the idea. So that's going to give you that granularity there. But for example's sake, that'll work. So we're going to put in our pool service. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We're going to go in and assign the resource. So I'm going to be the pool boy for the day here. And the quantity is going to be 1 because we're doing 1 pool cleaning every week we go out. Now, where most people miss is they do not put the rate in budgeted hours. This is essential for good data in, good data out. Long as it's connected to this contract up here, it will not bill that out. So what we're going to do is put a rate of, let's say, $50 per cleaning, and it's a 1 hour cleaning for 1 person. So that is going to give us the good data for the reporting and production rates that you need. We're going to put that in, and then we're going to go in and hit save. Now we can go in and add the additional job, and we're going to add a reoccurring job. And let's say this commercial property wants the lawn and landscape maintained on Mondays. That's where it falls into our schedule. So I'm going to select part of the pool and lawn contract, and we're going to schedule it weekly on Monday. Once again, we're going to grab our landscape maintenance. Initial start date is going to be, let's just say April 5th, and it's going to start reoccurring April 5th or 6th. So that's the start date and when we start recurring every weekly Monday. We're going to assign a crew. And once again, we want a budgeted time. So one of the biggest questions, Mike, should the prices and budgeted time equal the total of the total contract? Yes. If you added this stuff up times so many visits for landscape maintenance and all the pool services, you should get a total rate and budgeted time that equals basically 100%. So fictitiously, I'm just going to throw $75 in here and 1.25 hours. Now we go in and we hit save. Now the next question that you're probably going to have is, okay, if we're working on the pool, that includes maintenance, and we're working on the lawn, and that calls landscape maintenance. What happens if the pool pump breaks and we need to make a service call? Or what if we have some crepe myrtles or something like that in a southern state that need to be pruned up and outside of the contract, or even storm damage with palm trees? You can go in and add a one-time or any type of job here, but basically it would not be part of the contract. And then you would put your whatever that is. So you would just put in here the service, assign it to a resource, and put your rate and budgeted time in here. And you can build this at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, depending how the default billing is set up in your service autopilot, to bill out up and above the contract. Now, right now, they're going to come out as two separate invoices with V3 invoicing. You can merge them together, but QuickBooks, if you're using it, SA's recommendation, from my understanding with new V3 formats, we do not want to merge them. That's going to cause some serious issues. So best practice to stay safe is keep your additional billing separate than your monthly installment billing. So any comments or questions while I am live, I'm happy to answer them, or on the recorded version the next 24 to 48 hours. But if you're looking to set up an installment setup, we want to go under contracts, add a contract, set up the installment billing, whether it's billed the month that it's in or the month in advance, the day, and we want to associate the service underneath that with any additional restraints on hours or trips. Then we go in and build the one-time or recurring service associated to the contract, and we want to rate and budget hours for production and job costing. So comments, questions, drop below. Callahan's Corner, you ask the questions, we answer them live right here on Facebook. See you again tomorrow.